So let me ask you this. Zoran Mamdani in New York, Ocasio-Cortez, their policy positions, do you think they're good for the future of the Democratic Party looking toward 2028? The democratic socialism, that kind of platform, good for the party, that direction?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that currently the Democratic Party is a little bit reactionary because all of these bad things are coming out from the right. Obviously, like things like the big beautiful bill, that's anything but beautiful. We see that the right is doing a lot of harmful things, and the Democrats are responding to it like as we should. But I think specifically like how Zoran stands out is that he's standing on policies such as socialism, which is really important, which is like building that democratic base of what it means to be a progressive. I think that more politicians should be adopting socialism. I think that it's really important to be class conscious and like remove ourselves from this like neoliberal idea of it's okay to like do capitalism and exploit like workers. And I think that the Democratic Party should be the party for workers and look more towards socialism.
Who do you think is the leader of the party, or who do you want to see as the leader of the Democratic Party heading into the future?
Yeah, I really like AOC. Unfortunately, I would like to see her stand like and be more vocal about Palestine. But other than that, I really think that she should be the leader of the Democratic Party as she is a democratic socialist.
And by more vocal, what do you want to see her do?
I think that she should be more vocal about what's happening in Gaza, specifically condemning Israel for their genocide and standing out on that. And I think that she's great.
I think that, you know, me being also a young person, a young voter, a college student, seeing people like Zoran Mamdani, AOC just gaining so much more footing and so much more recognition in the policy field is very empowering. It's giving me a lot of optimism. I think it's mobilizing a lot of youth to also really align more with the socialism platform because there's a lot of stigma, especially in the more conservative side with socialism. So the fact that people are really advocating for very common sense policies like healthcare for all and, you know, more affordability is really empowering. And I see if more youth continue to keep up that momentum, I can really see it making a big change coming into 2028 with whoever may be the next president, the next administration, etc.
There needs to be some sort of change within the party that fits with the energy that is surrounded with young people. Because yes, sometimes a lot of these policies seem out there, they haven't been tried before, but sometimes we need politicians and leaders who are willing to fail and are willing to try at the very least. Instead of sticking with institutional traditions, we want to see some change, and we're okay with seeing some failures. Like at least there are people pushing for these platforms and wanting to make a difference and taking accountability step by step as they're trying to figure out some new policy solutions so that we can live a better future. Because right now with our young people, we're seeing a lot of nihilism. We're seeing a lot of civic apathy, and so we really need to address that at the root, and a lot of that comes with progressive change and energetic leaders like AOC and Mamdani over in New York.
Are there winning issues, you think, you've heard from them, like issues the party should take and run with?
Yeah, I mean, AOC, she did start with like the Green New Deal, and the environment is a really huge issue for young people because it is an existential crisis for us. We're the inheritors of the earth. And so we want to ensure that our generation and future generations can, you know, experience this beautiful earth that we have now and that it's sustainable for everyone in the future. And I think with Mamdani as well, he talks a lot about like the quality of life for young people, also the cost of living in America. I'm a Californian, so I know that cost of living is definitely a huge issue. We're huge advocates in California for housing equality, ensuring that we can tackle this housing crisis. So I think these two topics of environmental justice, but also ensuring that everyone has good quality of life and can afford to live in America are really touching topics for Gen Z.
I think candidates like Zoran Mamdani and AOC are really inspiring to see. They, you know, someone like Mamdani, a Muslim like me, and Zainab here, it's so inspiring to see. And so I think that someone like that in 2028 can carry a lot of momentum. I think people are so excited. The New York City mayoral election, right? Whoever thought that people in Texas, where we're from, would ever be excited about that? But we're fired up and we're ready to elect him. And I think that that's proof right there that people are ready for change. And I think that he brings that fresh perspective that people are looking for.
I definitely think that, you know, this indicates that a change needs to be made within the party. I think people are looking for fresh leaders, for fresh thinkers, and people that are kind of bringing us back to thinking about like the ordinary American and the common people. And I think that, you know, to some extent, that's probably why a lot of these young voters are really resonating with AOC and people like Zoran Mamdani.
Squad member and Democratic New York Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is reportedly eyeing a potential 2028 presidential run as the Democratic Party finds its footing following President Donald Trump's decisive win at the ballot box in 2024. Ocasio-Cortez's team is preparing her to run for president or the U.S. Senate in 2028. When Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer is up for re-election and Democrats can next run to reclaim the White House, Axios reported Friday, citing sources familiar. The New York Congresswoman has not officially made a decision on a Senate or presidential run, but has hired former senior advisors from Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders' orbit as she navigates her political future, the outlet reported. She notably has joined Sanders on a national tour called Fighting Oligarchy in recent months that aims at combating Trump administration policies. Fox News Digital reached out to Ocasio-Cortez's office for comment on the report she's teeing up a 2028 run for higher office, but did not receive a reply. Fox News Digital spoke to Democratic National Committee Vice Chair Shasti Conrad Thursday, ahead of Axios's report on Ocasio-Cortez's alleged 2028 aspirations, to discuss former Vice President Kamala Harris's new book, as well as top Democrats eyeing serving in higher offices. Conrad, who is also the chair of Washington State's Democratic Party, told Fox News that the party needs hundreds of leaders, listing off names such as New York City socialist mayoral candidate Zoran Mamdani, to Ocasio-Cortez and former Secretary of Transportation Pete Buttigieg. We need Mamdani to Pete, to Kamala, to Minnesota Gov Tim Walz, to California Govers Gavin Newsom, to Kentucky Govers Andy Beshear, to, AOC, she said. We need messengers across this country talking about what Democrats stand for, what we will do when we get back in power, how we will make a difference in people's lives. She added that these leaders must also bring attention to what Trump is doing, calling that out every single day, holding the Republicans' feet to the fire, she added. Conrad argued that Harris's book allows the former vice president to speak her truth on the 2024 campaign cycle, which included Harris reporting that she did not feel supported by the Biden team. The book argued the Biden team rarely defended her from negative press, and called Biden's decision to run for re-election at the age of 81 as an example of recklessness. It's Joe and Jill's decision. We all said that like a mantra, as if we'd all been hypnotized, Harris wrote in the book, according to the excerpts. Was it grace or was it recklessness? In retrospect, I think it was recklessness. The stakes were simply too high. This wasn't a choice that should have been left to an individual's ego, an individual's ambition. It should have been more than a personal decision. The excerpts set off condemnation from former White House staffers who told Axios that Harris was allegedly trying to scapegoat Biden instead of owning up that she was simply not good at the job. Democrats are now jockeying to lead the party in the Trump era. Conrad said the book tees up Harris potentially running for president again in 2028, or a potential Buttigieg run, while also celebrating that other high-profile names could step up. This is the thing that happens when you don't have the White House, the presidency, is that there isn't one leader of the Democrats, she said. We need, hundreds of leaders. The report of Ocasio-Cortez's potential comes as the Democratic Party maps out its future following Trump's November 2024 election win. Harris is launching a book tour after her memoir, reflecting on her 107-day presidential campaign, was released Tuesday.